Good evening. And odds are, if you're watching this, you know that something is very wrong and very broken in our country right now. And Washington won't fix it. In fact, regardless of which party's in power, they'll probably make it worse. So if we're going to fix things, it's going to be up to us. It's going to be up to you. It's going to be up to me, your friends, your communities, etc. What do we mean by that? Well, the premise of America is that it is an ideal of life, liberty, the pursuit of happiness, and the American dream. And if you look at some studies, the American dream started dying in 1957. And what we mean by that is that 1957 was the high watermark of those that believed that life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness was possible or attainable. What we've seen ever since then is housing affordability crater to where most young people now don't believe that they will be able to own a home. But if you're one of those people, I think we can help you. I think we can find you tools that you can help yourself. We don't think that hope is lost. In fact, we think if you look at some of the things technically and everything else, we think if you reframe the American dream, restructure it, we think that in some ways it may be more attainable now than ever before. We hope so. And not only that, we're going to put our time, our life, and everything on the line to prove if it's possible and hopefully take you along for the ride. And even if you may never use some of the things that we do, that we're going to do in these videos and the projects and the build we're going to doing, we think there's value in the fact that if someone is dumb enough to do stuff like this and can prove that it can happen, then you know it can. And hopefully, let's say you're watching this in a big city, in a big concrete jungle, where you think that, the possibility of a little cabin in the woods, so to speak, some of the traditional things like that doesn't seem possible. It is. And we think that we can show you how to do that and show some of the things that we've done and some of the things we're going to do. Some of the basics of where we think the start of the American dream. One of our favorite founding fathers is Benjamin Franklin. And here's a little sign that we wrote, that we engraved, that has what we think is the best example of the American dream and one that we can all aspire to. This is from the 1735 edition of Poor Richard's Almanac. And what it says is, a little house well filled, a little field well tilled, and a little wife well willed are great riches. Let's do that again. A little house well filled, a little field well tilled, a little wife well willed are great riches. And in some ways, if we achieve that, we're as rich as anybody. Nobody, you're a billionaire, because if you have a little piece of land, a little house on it that you built yourself or you paid for yourself, space for your family to grow and thrive, you're as rich as anybody. And that, I think, is the true American dream. And we think it can be done cheaply. And if in some of sports, or for something like, there's rules. And one of the goals and rules that we have for this project and this build is that what is the cheapest possible way to build elegant solutions to some of the off-gridding problems. For example, it's behind the camera now, but we have our chainsaw cabin. The premise for the chainsaw cabin was a modern interpretation of Henry David Thoreau's cabin, where in the 1850s, he built a livable small home for $26. If you round it up to today's dollars, that's about $1,000. So it sounds crazy, but can you build a livable small cabin now for $1,000? Yeah, you still can, and we're going to prove it. But anyway, that's going to be the journey. Every Sunday night at 7 o'clock, there will be a new weekly video drop. We've been doing this project for about 4 years now, but we've had other projects, as all of you do, life issues, all the rest of this stuff. But it's time to reset that. I think in wake of our country's 250th birthday, most of us really know that, or you sense that things are not right. Things are just broken in very fundamental ways. And staring at our phones and all the other stuff is not going to fix it. And we believe that in some ways, if you look at the pursuit of happiness, some of the simple, basic things in life are not only affordable, they make you happy. And so what we hope to do is let's all take a journey to where we can lower your stress level a little bit on what, if you think that the American dream is possible, to say, wow, they did that for that amount of money. As an example, one of the first videos, in fact, video we're working on tomorrow, is we need to work on our water system here. And we're lucky enough that this parcel has a strong seasonal spring. So from basically January through June, there are several gallons of water just pours out of the side of the hill. From July on, it takes a bit more coaxing. You can always find water here from the spring, etc., surface water, etc., but it gets a little more muddy, murky, so it's going to take some filtering, it's going to take a little bit of pumping, and what we have is some tanks up the hill that provide the pressure, but the spring is at the bottom of the hill. So we've got some, what we're going to try to do is, what is the cheapest possible way to get some pumps that would have enough pressure to get it up there so we can run it through the filters, all the rest of the stuff, so we have usable, functional water. What we're going to try to do is some of the small 12-volt RV pumps. Some of them will go up to 80 pounds pressure. They should be able to move some of the water around. And what do we mean by inexpensive solutions? Now, these we got for 2 for $20 online. So we're talking about trying to do our water system that we're going to function with on a day-to-day basis. And the core piece of it was 20 bucks. 12 volt, 20 bucks. We can hook up a small battery and a solar panel to it, and that should take care of our pumping, in theory. But you're going to say that's crazy, it can't be done. We're going to find out. But that's an example of the type of things we're going to try to do. What is the lowest cost possible way to get infrastructure done, and do it in a fun and exciting manner. One of the things, like my background, I spent some time in the tech industry, like many of you probably have. You're familiar with the thing of Moore's Law. And Moore's Law was a formula to where computer power was going to constantly get cheaper, more effective, and more capable as time goes on. We think we are at that time on infrastructure. If you want huge systems, yes, they're going to be exorbitant prices, but if you want basic functional systems to pump water, keep food cold, lighting, etc., we think it is cheaper to do that now than ever before. And thanks for joining us. We're starting this coming Sunday night at 7 p.m. and from then on, every Sunday night, every week, a new video will drop. Please like and subscribe. That helps us, because unless we did some of the thresholds as far as being able to monetize the videos and be able to afford to do this project. But thank you. And remember, there is hope. In fact, if you, it's despite of what the news media and everybody else wants to tell you, you know, the euphemism is, you will own nothing and you will be happy. We think that's crap. That's not the American dream. That's not happiness. You know it. We know it. Let's fix it. Have a great night.